Dr. Amanda Crawford's footsteps echoed through the crystalline chamber of the Galactic Council, each step marking what could be humanity's final moments as a free species. The council members towered above her on their floating platforms, 12 beings of various forms, united in their disdain for her kind. Their bioluminescent markings pulsed with barely contained contempt. Representative Crawford, the High Speaker's translator, converted their harmonics into English, their tentacles writhing in what she'd learned was disapproval. "We have reached our decision regarding Earth's petition for membership in the Galactic Commonwealth." Amanda straightened her spine, ignoring the splitting headache that had plagued her since entering the chamber. The past 3 days of deliberations had been a farce. She'd seen it in their eyes, their postures, their subtle gestures. They'd made their decision before she'd even presented Earth's case. Humanity has been found fundamentally incompatible with galactic society, the High Speaker continued. Your species' cognitive architecture demonstrates dangerous levels of neuroplasticity. Your emotional responses are erratic. Your technology advances in unpredictable patterns. A murmur of agreement rippled through the chamber. Amanda clenched her fists, fighting back the urge to scream. 6 years of diplomatic missions, technological exchanges, and cultural integration programs, all dismissed in a single sentence. However, another council member chimed in, their crystalline form refracting the chamber's light. "We are not without mercy. The traditional penalty for species deemed incompatible is immediate termination." Amanda's blood ran cold. The headache intensified, pounding in sync with the strange energy fields that permeated the chamber. She kept her voice steady, years of diplomatic training coming into play. "And what alternative does the council propose?" The High Speaker's tentacles formed what might have been a smile. "Containment. A barrier will be erected around your solar system. Your species will be allowed to live out its natural course, unable to threaten the greater galaxy." "You're talking about imprisonment," Amanda said, her voice carrying across the chamber. "Slow extinction rather than quick execution. That's your mercy." "The barrier will be impenetrable," a silicon-based council member explained, their crystalline matrix gleaming. "It will permit light and basic radio waves, but nothing more. Your resources will gradually deplete. Your population will naturally decline. A peaceful end." The pounding in Amanda's head reached a crescendo as the chamber's energy field shifted. Through the haze of pain, she noticed something odd. Patterns in the energy, pulses that seemed to match her heartbeat. She subtly activated the quantum recorder disguised as her bracelet, praying the council's sensors wouldn't detect it. "The decision is final," the High Speaker declared. "The barrier will be activated within 1 standard rotation. You may return to Earth to inform your leaders." Amanda bowed, using the motion to hide her grimace of pain. "Humanity acknowledges the councils." She paused, choosing her next word carefully. "Mercy." As she turned to leave, the Silicon Council member spoke again. "A shame. Your species showed such promise. But your neural architecture is simply too primitive to join modern society." Amanda kept walking, even as the words cut deep. Primitive, incompatible, dangerous. The Council saw humanity's adaptability as a threat, their emotional depth as a weakness, their rapid technological growth as a danger sign. But as she reached the chamber's exit, something clicked in her mind, a pattern in the energy fields, a resonance she couldn't quite explain. Her headache wasn't just stress or anxiety. Something about this place, about the Council's technology, was interacting with her primitive human brain in ways the Council themselves didn't seem to notice, or perhaps, in their advanced state, they could no longer perceive it at all. As the transport pod carried her back to Earth for the last time, Amanda studied the recorded energy patterns on her quantum bracelet. The Council had just sentenced humanity to death by isolation. But in doing so, they might have inadvertently handed humanity the key to something far greater than mere survival. They'd given Earth a death sentence. But Amanda Crawford had a feeling they'd just made their biggest mistake in 10,000 years of galactic governance. 3 months into Earth's quarantine, Cheyenne Mountain Complex, Colorado. Amanda Crawford pressed her forehead against the cool metal of her desk, seeking relief from the relentless migraine that had become her constant companion. The underground lab's fluorescent lights didn't help, but at least here, buried beneath thousands of feet of rock, she could work without seeing the shimmering barrier that now encased Earth like a soap bubble. Dr. Crawford, Jessica Myers, her research assistant, knocked on the office door. "The new readings are in. You're going to want to see this." Amanda lifted her head, wincing at the movement. "Show me." Jessica placed a holographic display on the desk, and Amanda's eyes widened. The barrier's energy signature matched perfectly with the patterns she'd recorded in the council chamber, but there was something more. "Look at the neural scans," Jessica said, pulling up another image. "This is your brain activity when you're near the barrier. And this," she swiped to another scan, "is the barrier's frequency pattern." They were identical. "Run it against the other test subjects," Amanda ordered, her heart racing despite the pain in her head. Jessica nodded, pulling up dozens of scans. "Already did. Every human we've tested shows the same resonance pattern. The worse their headaches, the stronger the correlation." Amanda stood up, pacing the small office. "The council said our neural architecture was too primitive. But what if?" She stopped, grabbing a pencil from her desk. "Record this." Closing her eyes, Amanda focused on the pulsing pain in her head, but instead of fighting it, she embraced it. The pencil trembled, then slowly rose an inch off her palm. The lab's alarms immediately blared to life. Jessica stumbled backward, knocking over a chair. "Holy, that's impossible." The barrier's energy just spiked. Amanda opened her eyes, letting the pencil clatter to the desk. "Not impossible. They built a prison out of energy that resonates with human consciousness. Our primitive brains aren't a weakness. They're a key." "Dr. Crawford," General Mitchell's voice boomed through the intercom. "Report to the command center immediately. We're detecting massive energy fluctuations from your sector." 20 minutes later, Amanda stood before a room of military and scientific leaders, her migraine forgotten in the rush of discovery. The pencil demonstration had turned into something bigger. She could now lift a coffee mug, then a chair, all by channeling the barrier's energy through what the council had dismissed as humanity's flawed neural patterns. "The council's own records confirm it," she explained, projecting the translated documents. "As species advance, they lose certain primitive neural pathways. They saw our retention of these pathways as proof we weren't ready for galactic society. But they never imagined we could use them to interact with their technology." "You're saying we can control their barrier?" General Mitchell asked, his weathered face intense. "Better." Amanda smiled. "We can harvest its energy. The council didn't just give us a prison. They gave us the largest power source in human history. And we're the only ones who can tap into it." The room erupted in discussion, but a sharp crack silenced everyone. A spider web of cracks appeared in Amanda's water glass before it shattered completely. "Sorry," she said, dabbing at the spilled water. "I'm still learning to control it, but this proves my point. We need to start training people immediately. Everyone who's been experiencing headaches since the barrier went up. They're not sick. They're sensitive to the energy. They're our first candidates." General Mitchell nodded slowly. "How many people are we talking about?" "Based on global health reports." Jessica consulted her tablet. "Roughly 30% of the population reports persistent headaches since the barrier's installation. That's over 2 billion potential candidates." Amanda faced the room of stunned leaders. The council thought they were giving us a humane death sentence. Instead, they'd given us the tools for our survival, and eventually, our liberation. But we need to move fast. Every day we waste is a day the council thinks they're winning. "What do you need?" General Mitchell asked. Amanda projected an image of the barrier, its shimmering surface now looking less like a prison wall and more like an opportunity. "Everything. This isn't just a research project anymore. This is humanity's revolution, and every migraine sufferer on Earth is about to become our greatest asset. The meeting adjourned with a new sense of purpose. As Amanda headed back to her lab, she caught her reflection in a window. For the first time since the council's verdict, she was smiling. Her headache still pounded, but now she welcomed it. It wasn't just pain anymore. It was power. 6 months into Earth's quarantine, Black Hills Training Facility, South Dakota. Amanda Crawford watched through reinforced glass as 30 students lifted metal spheres in perfect unison, the objects dancing in the air like a metallic ballet. The barrier's energy hummed through the facility, making her teeth vibrate. What had started as a desperate experiment had become a movement. Operation Thunderstrike was now running at full capacity. Class 7 is showing remarkable progress, Jessica reported, handing Amanda a tablet. Their control metrics are higher than any previous group. They should be, Amanda replied. They're all former air traffic controllers. People who already understand complex spatial awareness. She tapped the glass, frowning. But we're still losing too many candidates to burnout. The facility's medical wing was overcrowded with those who'd pushed too hard, too fast. Learning to channel the barrier's energy was like learning to use a new limb. Painful, exhausting, and sometimes dangerous. An alarm blared through the compound. Red lights flashed as security teams rushed past the observation room. Breach in Sector 4. The intercom crackled. Multiple intruders. The message cut off in a burst of static. Amanda was already moving, Jessica close behind. They rounded a corner to find chaos. Bodies sprawled in the hallway, smoke filling the air. Non-lethal gas, Amanda coughed, pulling her emergency mask from her belt. They don't want to kill us. They want the research. A figure emerged from the smoke, wearing a filtration mask and military-grade combat gear. Dr. Crawford. The voice was digitally distorted. Step away from the facility controls. Amanda smiled beneath her mask. You know what the funny thing is about barrier energy? She raised her hand, and the intruder's weapon crumpled like aluminum foil. It doesn't just move objects. It warps them. More figures appeared, weapons raised. Amanda felt Jessica tense beside her, ready to act. They'd trained for this. The council didn't send you, Amanda said, her voice carrying through the smoke. You're human. Part of the acceptance movement, right? The ones who think we should submit to the council's judgment. Fighting the council will doom our species. The leader's voice cracked with zealous conviction. They'll exterminate us all if we resist. Accepting their sentence is our only chance for survival. Wrong. Amanda's voice was steel. Accepting their sentence isn't survival, it's suicide. And you're interrupting my class. The air rippled as Amanda unleashed months of practiced control. The intruder's weapons didn't just crumple, they disintegrated. Their combat gear constricted, dropping them to their knees. The smoke itself swirled and dispersed, drawn into a tight sphere that Amanda let dissipate harmlessly against the ceiling. Security teams swarmed in, securing the attackers. Jessica checked the fallen staff members, all alive, just unconscious from the gas. Get General Mitchell on the line, Amanda ordered, watching the prisoners being led away. The acceptance movement just upgraded from protests to terrorism. We need to accelerate the program. Later that night, Amanda stood in her office, watching surveillance feeds from training facilities around the world. Former meditation centers in Japan now housed barrier energy specialists. An old monastery in Tibet had become a training ground for advanced practitioners. Underground bunkers across Europe pulsed with controlled energy as humanity learned to harness their prison's power. The council's watching, you know. General Mitchell stood in her doorway, looking grim. Their observation satellites pass overhead every day. They see our cities starting to crumble, our infrastructure failing. They think we're dying. Amanda nodded, touching the window. Beyond the reinforced walls of the facility, the barrier shimmered in the night sky like an aurora. Let them think that. Let them believe their plan is working. The more they underestimate us, the better. And the acceptance movement. They're scared, Amanda said. Fear makes people choose safety over freedom. But we don't have that luxury. She turned to face the general. How soon can we start phase 2? The first barrier-powered vessels are ready for testing. If they work. When they work, Amanda corrected. When they work, Mitchell agreed. We'll be able to reach Mars within hours. The Council won't expect us to have any space capability at all. Amanda smiled, feeling the familiar hum of barrier energy in her mind. Good. While they watch us die, we'll be building an army. And when we're ready. She let the thought hang in the air. The Council had meant to contain humanity. Instead, they'd given them the stars. 1 year into Earth's quarantine, low Earth orbit, the Council's inspection fleet emerged from hyperspace in a flash of crystalline light. 3 massive vessels, each shaped like elongated diamonds, positioned themselves around Earth's barrier. Their mission was routine. Document humanity's decline, assess resource depletion, and estimate remaining survival time. Amanda Crawford watched from the bridge of the Starkiller, humanity's first barrier-powered warship, currently hidden in the shadow of a defunct satellite cluster. The vessel hummed with harvested energy, invisible to Council sensors. Council vessels maintaining standard observation pattern, Jessica reported from her tactical station. They're beginning their scans. Amanda nodded, feeling the familiar resonance of barrier energy flowing through the ship. Let them see exactly what we want them to see. Status on our ground facilities. All barrier manipulation centers are running dark. They're seeing only abandoned buildings and defunct power grids. Population centers are projecting the expected heat signatures of a dying civilization. The deception had taken months to perfect. Every major city now had sophisticated holographic systems projecting images of decay and abandonment. The Council would see exactly what they expected: humanity's slow march toward extinction. Council vessels are launching probe drones, Jessica announced. Standard survey pattern. Amanda smiled. Right on schedule. Lieutenant Chen, initiate Operation Blindside. Across Earth's surface, hidden facilities hummed to life. The barrier's energy, which humanity had learned to manipulate with increasing precision, began to shift and pulse in carefully calculated patterns. Energy spike detected in Council vessels, Jessica reported. They're registering the power fluctuations. They're confused. Amanda stood from her command chair, her head throbbing with the familiar resonance of barrier energy. Send the signal. All ships. Execute attack pattern Delta. From behind Earth's moon, 50 barrier-powered vessels emerged, their hulls gleaming with the same energy that was meant to imprison humanity. From the dark side of the barrier, another 100 ships appeared, each one powered by the very prison the Council had built. By the Founders, one of the Council commanders transmitted, their message intercepted easily by human systems. How is this possible? Their technology was primitive. Amanda opened a channel to all frequencies. Attention Council vessels. This is Dr. Amanda Crawford of Earth. Remember me. You should. You sentenced my species to death 1 year ago. The Council ships began to turn, their weapons charging. But they were too slow. The funny thing about prisons, Amanda continued, raising her hand as barrier energy coursed through the Starkiller systems, is that they can become fortresses if you know how to use them. The first Council vessel's weapons fired, but the energy beams were caught and absorbed by the barrier, adding to humanity's power supply. Amanda's fleet moved with impossible precision, their ships dancing through space in patterns that defied conventional physics. Their shields are based on the same energy principles as the barrier, Amanda commanded. Target their power cores. Show them what primitive humans can do. The battle lasted less than 10 minutes. Council vessels, designed to project power through advanced energy manipulation, found themselves helpless against humans who could control that same energy with their minds. Weapon systems backfired. Shields collapsed. Engines failed. When it was over, 3 Council ships drifted powerless in space, their crews trapped inside by their own containment fields. Amanda transported to the lead council vessel, accompanied by a security team. She walked onto their bridge, where the council commanders stared in disbelief at the human who radiated barrier energy like a star. "Your quarantine was a mistake," the lead commander said, their tentacles writhing in distress. "No," Amanda corrected, letting barrier energy dance across her fingers. "Your mistake was thinking we couldn't adapt. Humanity doesn't die in prison. We learned to use the walls." She turned to leave, then paused. "Oh, and one more thing. That signal your ships managed to send before we disabled them. It wasn't a distress call. It was our virus, uploaded directly into your network. Right now, it's spreading through every council communication channel, carrying one message. Humanity is no longer contained. We're coming for our place among the stars." The commander's bioluminescent markings pulsed with fear. "What are you?" Amanda smiled, her eyes glowing with barrier energy. "We're what you made us. You gave us a death sentence, but you also gave us the key to the galaxy. And now we're the ones in control." As she transported back to the Starkiller, Amanda sent a message to Earth Command. "Phase 1 complete. Begin full deployment. The prison break has begun." 14 months into Earth's quarantine, Alpha Centauri hidden base. Amanda Crawford stood in the observation dome of humanity's first extrasolar facility, watching the binary stars dance across the alien sky. The base, carved into an asteroid's core, represented everything the Council thought impossible. Humans operating advanced technology, manipulating barrier energy, and most importantly, surviving. "Latest intelligence report from Council Space," Jessica said, entering the dome with a data crystal. "They bought our cover story completely. The official assessment states that the attack on their inspection fleet was a desperate final act by dying remnants of Earth's military." Amanda smiled, remembering the Council commander's face when their ships had been disabled. "And the virus? Spreading perfectly. Every time they scan for Earth activity, it feeds them exactly what they expect to see. Riots over food shortages, failed power grids, masses of refugees. Our visual effects team is getting creative with the decay simulations. Show me the latest feed." A hologram materialized, showing Earth as the Council currently saw it. Major cities appeared to be crumbling, with holographic fires and chaos carefully staged for orbital sensors. In reality, those same cities hummed with barrier energy, their true activities shielded by sophisticated cloaking systems. The Council's official prediction gives us 3 years before total societal collapse. Jessica continued. "They're already drafting papers about using Earth as a case study in why primitive species can't be trusted with advanced technology. If they only knew." Amanda gestured, and barrier energy rippled through the observation dome, creating a map of human expansion. Dozens of hidden bases glowed across nearby star systems, each one established using ships powered by the Council's own containment field. "How's the Proxima Centauri facility coming along?" "Construction's ahead of schedule. The mining operation there has already extracted enough rare elements to build another 50 ships. But," Jessica hesitated. "What is it?" "We picked up something strange. Energy signatures similar to our barrier, but they're not part of the Council's network. They're coming from the Proxima Centauri system itself." Amanda's eyes narrowed. "Show me." The holographic map zoomed in on Proxima Centauri, revealing familiar energy patterns around one of its planets. "Another prison," she breathed. "We're not the only ones they've tried to contain." "That's not all," Jessica said, adjusting the display. "We've detected similar signatures in 6 other nearby systems. Each one contains a quarantined species, all condemned for being too primitive or too unstable for galactic society." Amanda paced the dome, barrier energy crackling around her as her mind raced. The Council's been doing this for centuries, maybe millennia, finding species that could challenge them and locking them away to die. But they never imagined one species could turn their prison into a gateway. A communication alert chimed. Dr. Crawford, General Mitchell's voice came through. The Council's annual resource assessment report just went live across their networks. According to their calculations, Earth's population has dropped by 30% due to resource wars and infrastructure collapse. Perfect. Amanda turned to face the binary stars again. While they watch us die, we'll make contact with these other imprisoned species. The Council gave us all the same death sentence. Now we'll give them all the same key to freedom. Some of the military leaders are pushing to strike now, Jessica said quietly. We have the ships. We have the power. Why maintain the deception? Because right now, we're ghosts. Amanda's eyes reflected the starlight. The Council thinks we're dying, so they're not looking for us out here. That gives us time to build, to grow, to find allies. When we finally reveal ourselves, it won't be as Earth's last survivors. It'll be as the leaders of a coalition of the condemned. She touched the dome's surface, feeling the barrier energy that flowed through all of human space. The Council thought they were writing humanity's epitaph. Instead, they gave us the greatest advantage any species could ask for. They underestimated us completely. In the distance, a barrier-powered ship emerged from FTL travel, its hull gleaming with the same energy that was meant to be humanity's prison. Soon, that ship would make contact with another imprisoned species, offering them the key to their own barrier. The Council had created a galaxy of prisons. Humanity would transform it into a network of allies, united by the very power meant to contain them. The revolution wouldn't just free Earth. It would liberate the stars themselves. 16 months into Earth's quarantine, Proxima Centauri system, the Starkiller drifted silently through the aquamarine atmosphere of Proxima b, its barrier-powered shields keeping the crushing pressure at bay. Amanda Crawford stood at the viewport, watching the endless ocean below. Somewhere in those depths lived another species the Council had deemed too dangerous to join galactic society. Picking up significant energy readings, Jessica reported from her station. Similar to our barrier, but the frequency is different. It's tuned to water pressure rather than atmospheric containment. They adapted the prison to the planet. Amanda mused. Clever. Any signs of civilization? A soft ping answered her question as massive structures began emerging from the depths. Crystal spires rose through the alien waves, their architecture unlike anything human eyes had seen before. Schools of bioluminescent creatures swirled around the buildings, moving in patterns too precise to be natural. They're not just surviving, Jessica breathed. They're thriving. A transmission cut through their communications, not in words but in complex harmonics. The ship's computers worked to translate the musical language. Visitors from beyond the barrier. The translation read, "You are either very brave or very lost." Amanda activated the response channel. "We're neither. We're prisoners, like you. Though we found a way to turn our prison into a gateway." Silence filled the channel for a long moment. Then, impossible. The Council's barriers are absolute. Nothing is absolute, Amanda replied. May we meet? We have much to discuss. The water around the Starkiller churned as a massive structure rose from the depths. It was an air-filled dome, clearly designed for receiving non-aquatic visitors. The ship docked smoothly, guided by precise streams of pressurized water. Inside the dome, Amanda and Jessica found themselves face to face with the Luminous, as they called themselves. Vaguely humanoid in shape, their translucent bodies pulsed with patterns of light that formed part of their language. The Council had imprisoned them 500 years ago for their dangerous ability to manipulate electromagnetic fields. "You control the barrier energy," the Luminous leader observed, their lights flickering in amazement as Amanda demonstrated her abilities. "Our scientists theorized it was possible, but we lack the neural structure to attempt it." "The Council thinks neural complexity is everything," Amanda said. "They don't understand that sometimes simpler systems can perceive things their advanced brains can't. We've learned to harvest the barrier's power, to travel through it, to use it as a weapon and a tool." The Luminous leader's patterns shifted to deep blues of contemplation. The Council imprisoned us because we could manipulate their communication networks. They feared we would intercept their secrets. And now they've given us the perfect tool to unite all their prisoners. Amanda smiled. We're not just here to show you how to break free. We're here to propose an alliance. The demonstration that followed left the Luminous in awe. Amanda and her crew showed them how barrier energy could be harnessed, how their electromagnetic abilities could be amplified by it, how their prison could become their greatest weapon. There are others, Jessica explained, projecting a map of nearby systems. Each one holds a species the Council feared. Each one has abilities or knowledge that could help us overthrow their rule. The Silicon Shapers of the Pleiades, the Luminous leader mused, reading the data. The Quantum Weavers of Sirius, the Mind Singers of Alpha Centauri, all imprisoned, all waiting, all about to be offered the same choice we're offering you. Amanda said, join us, help us build something new. The Council united us in imprisonment. Let's unite ourselves in freedom. The Luminous leader's body blazed with patterns of gold and silver, their expression of hope. They fought to break us by keeping us apart. Instead, they have given us common cause. Amanda nodded. Every prison they built becomes our stronghold. Every species they feared becomes our ally. And soon, she let barrier energy dance across her fingers, mixing with the luminous bioluminescence in a stunning display. Soon we'll show them exactly why they were right to fear us all. As the star color prepared to depart for its next destination, Amanda received the Luminous formal acceptance of alliance. Their knowledge of electromagnetic manipulation would be crucial in the coming revolution. One by one, humanity would visit each prison, offer each condemned species a choice. The Council had created an empire of isolation. They never imagined their prisoners would unite, using their very chains as the bonds of revolution. 2 years into Earth's quarantine, Council Central Command. A high speaker of the Galactic Council stood before the massive observation screen, their tentacles writhing in satisfaction as they reviewed the latest reports from Earth. The barrier containment had worked perfectly. Human civilization appeared to be crumbling, their population centers in chaos, their technology failing. Another successful containment, they announced to the assembled council members. Earth will be uninhabited within a year. That's when every screen in Council Central Command went dark. When they flickered back to life, Dr. Amanda Crawford's face filled them all. Behind her stood representatives of a dozen imprisoned species, the crystalline forms of the Silicon Shapers, the luminescent bodies of the Luminous, the ethereal presence of the Mind Singers, and more. Greetings, Council, Amanda said, her voice echoing through every speaker in Council space. Remember us, the primitives, the dangerous ones, the ones you locked away to die. The high speaker's bioluminescent markings flashed in alarm. How is this possible? Earth is contained. About that, Amanda smiled. Check your barrier network. Really look at it. Not just Earth's prison, but all of them. Look at what we've been doing while you congratulated yourselves on your superiority. Across Council space, barrier containment fields flickered and transformed. The prisons that had held condemned species for centuries suddenly pulsed with power, but not the Council's power. The network they had built to contain primitive species had become a web of energy controlled by those same prisoners. Impossible. A crystalline council member shattered their own display in fury. These species cannot cooperate, cannot control our technology. You know what your greatest mistake was? Amanda asked, barrier energy crackling around her. You thought advancement meant becoming more like you. You never considered that our primitive traits might be strengths. On cue, the revolution began. The Luminous seized control of all Council communications, their electromagnetic mastery amplified by barrier energy. The Silicon Shapers transformed Council buildings into crystalline mazes, trapping their former jailers inside their own halls of power. The Mind Singers disrupted the Council's neural networks, turning their advanced consciousness against them. And humanity, The latest species they had tried to contain led the charge. "Your barrier network doesn't just connect our prisons," Amanda explained as Council defenses crumbled. "It connects every piece of Council technology. Your shields, your weapons, your ships, they all use the same energy principles. And thanks to our primitive neural structure, we can control it all." The High Speaker watched in horror as their mighty fleet powered down, their weapons turned inward, their shields transformed into cages. Every system they had built to maintain their power became a tool of their undoing. "This is madness," they cried. "You will destroy galactic civilization." "No," Amanda corrected, her eyes glowing with barrier energy. "We're going to rebuild it. But this time, it won't be built on fear of difference. It won't be built on imprisonment and extinction. It will be built on the very diversity you tried to stamp out." From Earth, now a bustling center of barrier energy mastery, thousands of ships emerged from hiding. From Proxima Centauri, the luminous fleet rose from the depths. From the Pleiades, silicon shaper vessels crystallized out of asteroid fields. Every prison had become a fortress, every condemned species now a liberating force. "You sentenced us all to death," Amanda declared, standing with her allies. "You thought our differences made us dangerous. You were right about one thing. Together, we are the most dangerous force you've ever faced. But not because we're primitive. Because we learned to turn our chains into strength." The Council's mighty central command, built over millennia of unchallenged rule, fell in less than an hour. As Amanda walked through its crystalline halls, now transformed by silicon shaper allies, she passed chambers where Council members sat trapped behind their own barrier fields. "Welcome to the new galaxy," she told them, her voice carrying through every Council facility across space. "One where being different isn't a death sentence, it's a gift." The revolution wasn't just successful, it was absolute. The Council's own technology, meant to contain and eliminate threats, had become the tool of their downfall. And in their pristine halls of power, the primitives they had feared proved that true civilization isn't built on conformity, but on the strength found in diversity. 3 years after Earth's liberation, the Coalition Chambers, former Council space. Amanda Crawford stood in the same crystalline chamber where the Council had once sentenced humanity to death. But now, the chamber had been transformed. Silicon shapers had reshaped its architecture to accommodate all species. The luminous bioluminescent patterns danced across its walls. The Mind Singer's harmonic frequencies resonated through its spaces, and barrier energy, once a tool of imprisonment, now powered everything as a shared resource. "The last of the Reformation projects are complete," Jessica reported, presenting the final data to the assembled coalition representatives. "Every barrier prison has been converted into a power generation hub. The former Council races have completed their neural retraining programs." Amanda nodded, watching the diverse gathering of species that now guided galactic civilization. Former Council members sat alongside their one-time prisoners, their advanced minds learning to value the very differences they had once feared. "The Human Adaptation Program has been particularly successful," a former Council scientist admitted, their tentacles moving in what Amanda now recognized as humility. "We were wrong to call your neural patterns primitive. They were simply different, more adaptable. That's the foundation of our new society," Amanda replied. "Every species brings unique strengths. The luminous mastery of electromagnetic fields, the silicon shaper's crystal manipulation, the Mind Singer's harmonic consciousness, even your species' advanced cognitive processing. None is superior, all are necessary." The chamber's displays showed scenes from across the galaxy. Former prison worlds had become thriving centers of commerce and innovation. The barrier network, repurposed and expanded, provided clean energy to every civilization. Ships of all species traveled freely through space, their diverse crews working together. "There are still challenges," a luminous representative noted, their patterns shifting thoughtfully. "Some former Council worlds resist change. They cling to old prejudices. Change takes time, Amanda acknowledged. But they're learning. Every day, more of them understand that their fear of difference was holding back their own evolution. The neural integration programs are helping them rediscover abilities their species lost in pursuit of their narrow definition of advancement. A silicon shaper crystallized into their communication form. The latest statistics show a 70% increase in cross-species scientific collaborations. Our combined knowledge has accelerated technological progress beyond previous predictions. Amanda smiled, remembering the Council's dismissal of humanity's unpredictable technological development. Now that very unpredictability was driving innovation across the galaxy. We've received another application for coalition membership, Jessica announced. A newly spacefaring species from the Outer Rim. Their neural patterns are unlike anything we've encountered. Perfect, Amanda said. Let's welcome them properly. Show them that in this galaxy, being different isn't a death sentence. It's a cause for celebration. The chamber hummed with barrier energy as Amanda activated the primary display. The new species representatives appeared, clearly nervous about contacting the galactic community. They had probably expected to find the old council, ready to judge their worthiness based on arbitrary standards of advancement. Instead, they found a coalition of diverse species, each contributing their unique abilities to a greater whole. They found a civilization built not on conformity, but on the very differences that made each species special. Welcome to Galactic Society, Amanda addressed the newcomers. We have only one requirement for membership. Be yourselves. Your differences are your strength. Your unique perspectives are your contribution. Your distinctiveness is your gift to us all. As the new species representatives realized they were truly welcome, their joy was evident even across the vast distance of space. Later, standing in her private chamber, Amanda looked out at the galaxy. The barrier field that had once been humanity's prison now shimmered across space as an energy network connecting all civilizations. The Council's greatest weapon had become the foundation of a society they could never have imagined. They gave us a death sentence, she mused, letting barrier energy dance across her fingers one last time. But we didn't just survive. We showed the galaxy a better way to live. The stars sparkled with possibility, each one now a beacon of hope in a galaxy where difference was no longer feared, but celebrated, where being primitive or advanced meant nothing compared to being unique, where every species was free to contribute their strengths to the grand tapestry of civilization. The Council had tried to write humanity's epitaph. Instead, they had written the opening chapter of a new galactic story, one that would continue to unfold in all its beautiful, chaotic, diverse glory for generations to come.